Solar flash update for August 12th, 2024. 5D Earth is almost here. 5D is coming for Earth, and nothing can stop it. Question your reality, then change it. That's what we're going to do today. Hello and welcome back. This is Mahadeva, and you have reached the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. And this is the solar flash update for August 12th. So I'm here telling you that 5D Earth is almost here. If you look around, you might not see that. You might not feel that. If I look around with my physical 3D eyes, I might not see that. I might not feel that. The reason why I say that is because this is what I'm experiencing more and more in the astral realm. So one of the things that we are going to have to continue to really discipline ourselves to do is what I keep suggesting that you do, which is to question your reality and then change it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at why humans believe in an evil universe. Why we, it's important to understand that if you haven't yet experienced the 5D in your etheric astral body, it's going to be very difficult for you to even conceive of it. So it's easy for me at this point to sit here and say that, when I go out into my astral body and I interact with higher dimensional beings, that what I experience is pretty much this. This is what I see and I experience out there. And the light beings that are out there are very clear about we've done it. We achieved the shift. The shift has already begun. And we are moving towards this new 5D awareness. They're very adamant about that. And if I'm out there in my astral body, I can feel it. I can feel it so intensely. And then, of course, when I come back here and I go to sleep and I wake up the next day, I'm as 3D as anybody else. Now, I would not have believed that this is what the real universe is like. I would not have believed that just a few years ago. 3 years ago, I would not have believed it. Now, I've been teaching on my channel for the past 10 or 15 years that we have to take full responsibility for our reality. So I intuitively knew, in fact, it wasn't an intuition, it was logic. My logic, by the way, logic means that you're looking at objective evidence without any emotional attachment. Almost nobody does this. Almost nobody. And so that's why the majority of the things that are taught out there, I either completely reject or I only take part of it and I throw away the rest. I don't care what's written in books. I don't care what's written in scriptures. I only care about what I can objectively experience and prove. But even before I had gone into higher dimensions in my astral body over the past couple of years, even before then, my commitment to knowing the truth, despite my emotional attachment to beliefs and experiences, when I really used critical thinking, true bare bones critical thinking, which means that I want to find out the truth more than I want to be right or comfortable or happy. That when I did that, the inescapable conclusion that I came to was that if the universe is a just place, then the only possible explanation for our reality is that it is a matrix, and that we created it, and that we are responsible for everything that we manifest. We are responsible for choosing our birth circumstances, our parents, our physical body, everything that we experience in life. We have chosen it. And then while we are here in this manifested 3D body, we then continue to choose and create our reality. That was an inescapable conclusion, not because I liked it, because I didn't. The idea that I'm fully responsible for everything is not an easy or a pleasant idea, because what we want to do is we want to look for someone to blame. We want to look for the problem so we can fix it. That is why, this is the reason why politics is always run on the other guy is evil, I'm the answer. This is why every single election, it's crazy. But every 4 years, when we have an election in the United States, it's always the most important election ever, every single time. And if we get our guy in, that will solve all of the problems. That's been every single election since the beginning. And guess what? It never works out. Never. It's because we're always looking for something outside of us. We want to look for a savior, and we want to look for a devil. We want to look for somebody to blame, and then we want to look for somebody who will save us. And that mindset is based on the assumption that you are not responsible for your reality. Therefore, if things are bad, somebody did it to you. If things are good, it's because God gave it to you. And that is the third dimension. As long as you have that hamster wheel that you're continuously living in, then you will be trapped in the third dimension. So as 5D is coming for Earth, what is going to happen is people will be forced to face this and either accept their divinity and their responsibility for everything, or they will seek to chase after being a victim of circumstances. And as we talked about before, again, I'm only at this point just relaying to you what was shown to me, is that there's going to be 3 different harmonic frequencies, and one of them is going to be a horrible victim frequency where people will live out their victim mentality. So whenever you indulge in your victim mentality, just know that you are bringing yourself closer to that least pleasant Earth frequency. I'm not trying to make you judge your feelings. It's okay to feel victimized. It's okay to feel as though things are happening to you, because that's our third dimensional experience. But to choose to believe it, to choose to indulge in it, and then to take actions based on it, that will only lock you in there. People who work with me, there have been a handful of people who've worked with me who I've stopped working with them. And the reason I've stopped working with them is because they've chosen to continue to regularly use mind-altering chemicals, like on a regular basis or a daily basis. And after a while, I say, I can't help you anymore. Number one, because they're not going anywhere in their lives. And number two is because you can't do that. You can't habitually choose to do that without having a victim mentality. How do I know? Because I used to do it. But I also know from watching. So I I can't be a helpful teacher to somebody if I continue to keep co-signing them when I know that they are choosing to take actions that are pulling them deeper into a limiting frequency. So you must, there's no more time to play around. You can't play around anymore. You've got to drop everything associated with a victim mentality. I'm not trying to tell you to be perfect. Progress is what's all that. There's no such thing as perfection. The only thing that matters is, are you making progress? Are you doing a little bit better today than you did yesterday? If so, then you're going in the right direction. That's the only thing that matters. So we're going to take a look at this list here, which is why humans believe in an evil universe. Because, as I said, I came to the conclusion, the logical conclusion, that the only truth that I knew about this world is that I had to take full responsibility, that I created everything. The logical conclusion from that is, well, then that means that I am at least a God in physical form, and so is every other human. That we are divine gods creating our reality. That's not an ego thing. That's just, if I'm creating my entire world, that must mean that I'm a divine creator. And then logically you go beyond that, then you realize, well, that means I created this universe. So that means, since I'm the creator of this universe must obey me. And so if this universe must obey me, that means that the universe has to provide me with everything I need to live in this reality and create the best reality. Now the question is, why doesn't that work for everybody? And then I came to the realization that if you were not in alignment with your soul, then you wouldn't have the ability to necessarily know what to create. You would choose to create things that weren't helpful for you. And either the universe goes, wait a minute, that's not what you told me you wanted, so I'm not going to give you that. Or if you're operating outside of the realm of your soul, you don't have any power, and the universe doesn't recognize that you have the power to create your reality. The universe also looks at you if you're taking actions that are continuously self-devaluing, like, if you're slamming heroin in your neck every day, the universe goes, well, God must want to kill himself, so let's help him out. The universe will continue to give you negative experiences and negative energy so you can destroy yourself, because the universe says, well, obviously he wants to kill himself, so let's help him out. So logically, it makes sense that if you listen to your soul and do things that are healing for you and figure out what that is, which I've shown you what that is if you get my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, which you can get on my website, michaelwilliamdenny.com. That's where all my books are. You will learn that. It's a very simple law. When you understand it, it'll make sense. Now you're going to have to take actions based on it, and that's a whole other thing. But anyway, I talk all about that in the book. I won't take the time to do that here. So I'm pointing out to you, now compare what I teach with what is most popular, especially with what is most popular with people who believe in extraterrestrials. More so, which is mind-boggling to me, there are people who have done CE5, who have done human-initiated contact, who have made contact with higher dimensional beings, who still believe in evil reptilians that are forcing humans to reincarnate. They still believe in there's a galactic war between good aliens and bad aliens. Now, why that is mind-boggling to me is because I assume if they've had some success that they've experienced the same dimensions I have. So the only conclusion I can come to is that they haven't. That not everybody who's doing this is getting to the same levels that I am getting or that many of you are getting. So this is why my main focus on this channel is twofold, is to give you the practices here at thunderwizard.com, which will shift your frequency up, and also to get you to do the live guided interdimensional meditations, because that's a personal experience. I want to introduce you to the beings that will take you to higher dimensions so you can experience it for yourself. The problem is, not everybody has the ability and or the bravery and or the willingness to go through the personal ego death in order to be able to expand into those places. So people go as far as they can, and you can still conflate. I still have to monitor this as well. When I interact with higher dimensional beings, it's easy for me to project and conflate my own internal issues, and so I have to work really hard to still, when I'm communicating with them, work really hard to just listen and not project. That becomes a dance, because I also have to participate by using my intuition and using my imagination to create that connection. So it's a very, very interesting dance we have to do. But the bottom line is that the third dimension will not give you the ability to understand what is really out there. So this is why the majority of religions you can throw away, especially the monotheist religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam. I won't get into it, but all of those were created by the elites for the elites, all three of them. So you can throw all three of those, the Abrahamic religions, you can just toss them in the bin. There's no ultimate truth in there. There are bits and pieces of truth that you can take out of context and conflate, but the ultimate message of the monotheist religion is narcissistic devaluation. Jehovah is a narcissist, period, end of story. It's not even, really? You don't believe me? You don't believe that an almighty God who creates humans then throws them in hell because they're not perfect? The only people that do that are narcissists. So we can throw that away. There's a lot of other religions out there. Spiritual practices, on the other hand, tend not to have too much dogma. They might have specific discipline in terms of the practices, the rituals. You have to follow certain rules in the rituals, wear this and do this and don't eat that, and chant this for so many days or whatever. But that's not the same as belief dogma that tells you that this is true and that is false. It's all designed to give you a personal experience with the divine. But even those, because I was in these practices again for my entire adult life, none of them prepared me for what I experienced in higher dimensions. None of them. None of them prepared me. The closest preparation I got was the story of Odin's enlightenment, if you will. When Odin sacrificed himself to himself on the tree of life, and when he died to his ego, screaming in terror, he took up the runes, the truth, the secrets of the universe, and then he became king of the gods. That absolutely, I couldn't get more literal. That is absolutely the experience I had. So not everybody is willing to go through that level of ego death, and the light beings will work with you to the level that you're willing and able. But the thing is that they see infinity within you. They see that you are able. You have the ability to be the most powerful deity that's ever existed, if you're willing to allow your ego to expand, which means destroy itself, to expand to the level of a deity. If you're willing to do it, you can do it. If you don't believe you can, you won't. So really, they're working with your willingness to go there. If you watch this channel, if you're new to this channel, go back to 2 years ago, watch the video, How I Became an Extraterrestrial, you can see the level of fear that I experienced, which now I don't have. You can hear in subsequent videos where I had to stop making videos because I couldn't function. I wasn't able to function physically. I was physically in pain. I had injured myself because my brain was fighting against the true reality out there. So anyway, I'm starting to babble on. Let me just get to my list here, because the whole idea is so that I won't babble. So let's take a look at why humans believe in an evil universe. So as you can tell by the assumption, I'm telling you the universe is not evil. Any belief that has that in it, there are evil reptilians, there are false beings of light, that the devil has the power to steal your soul. Don't get me wrong, demons exist, but they're not what you think they are, and they're not what you've been told, and they don't have any power unless you give it to them. So there is no devil out there that has the ability to deceive humans and take their soul and feed on them. There are demons out there that if you choose to walk away from your divinity, they will be attracted to you like wolves are attracted to sick and injured animals, or how sharks are attracted to blood in the water. But it means you have to have a wound, a self-inflicted wound of self-devaluation. If you do that, then they can harm you. But the moment that you decide to hold on to your divinity, which is what, in Christian terms, the name of Jesus represents. When you say, in Jesus' name, Satan, I command you, you are actually, because that's your belief system, you are tapping into your soul. And the moment you do that, evil must run from you. They can't do anything to you without your permission. So I'm operating from an assumption that the universe outside of 3D is, not only is it not evil, it is so immensely filled with love and bliss and joy beyond what you can comprehend. When you get into that place, it is impossible. It is impossible to have any negative feelings, desires, instincts, predatory desires. No, but you can't think an evil thought towards anything or anyone. So the idea that you live in a universe that's evil is fundamentally wrong, and I'm going to explain to you why. So the 3D universe is a self-contained, upside-down, false matrix. Start from that assumption. So that means everything that you see, like the law of the jungle, that's true. Is it true that human beings can be extremely evil and hurtful? Yes. Is it true that if you don't protect yourself and you're not watching out for yourself, that somebody could come along, hurt you, rob you, physically harm you, steal from you, con you? Yes, absolutely. Is it true that in the animal world, if you go out, lions will chase you and attack you and want to eat you, and alligators will attack you, and sharks will eat you? Yes. So what that creates in you is an understanding, an intuition, a feeling that you've got to be careful. This is a dangerous place. That living beings will want to eat you, will want to hurt you, to damage you. Yes, all of that is true in Earth, third dimension. So what ends up happening is that becomes your base assumption about everything. And so you project that. So it makes sense. Why do people believe that there are dark force beings that are beyond humans, that are like gods, that live in higher dimensions, that force you to reincarnate? Because that's your experience in the third dimension. But the question is your experience of the third dimension, is that indicative of the rest of the multiverse? If you want to know the truth, I will share it with you. Again, I didn't know this. 3 years ago, I didn't know what I know because I'd never experienced it. But now that I've been there multiple times, I can tell you what the truth is. So the 3D universe is a self-contained, upside-down false matrix. All human beliefs are based on 3D observations or lies. Now, here is again some truth. There is and has been, unfortunately, there has been since even many thousands of years ago. The world has gone through multiple societies, and there was a very advanced society, tens of thousands of years ago that are very hard to find in the archaeological record, but they existed. And there has always been an elite that has been running the world. The elite today run the world through technology, but the elites 30,000 years ago, they ran the world through what we would consider to be magic. They understood how energy worked, and they understood how to influence with energy. They also had the ability to influence all kinds of things, weather, all kinds of stuff like that. They didn't use the same kind of technology that humans use today. They had other kinds of energetic technologies. They didn't need, the ancient astronaut people, which is really amazing to me, that the History Channel, it's called the History Channel. It's supposed to be about objective science. And the History Channel purposefully rehashes this falsely translated Sumerian mythology. And that's done on purpose. Because if you believe that there are alien beings that are more powerful than you, both spiritually and technologically, then you will never understand that you, in fact, are God. You want to know why that Anunnaki, I made a video about it, go and watch it. The whole translation of the ancient Sumerian mythology was consciously, repeatedly mistranslated by Zecharia Sitchin. And I believe that he was a CIA plant. I believe that this was a psyop, that this was cooked up, in the deepest, realms of the CIA, where they sat around and they said, let's come up with a psyop so that we can control people with fear of technology, and at the same time we can say that we don't have this technology but we do, and at the same time we can make them afraid of things that they believe are more powerful than they are. Let's come up with a mythology where astronauts come from someplace else and they created humans by manipulating DNA with monkeys, and let's create something like that so that humans will think that they are not divine beings, that they have been created by elites. And we will be the elites, but we will pretend that it's aliens from another planet. How can we come up with that? Well, let's start looking through the mythology. Well, everybody knows Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Vedic mythology. Oh, you know what? Nobody's really put any, there's a bunch of eggheads in universities that read Sumerian mythology, but the average person, remember this is back in the 1970s, the average person has no access to this, they can't translate it. Let's find some guy to pretend to translate Sumerian mythology, and let's get him to mistranslate it so that he says what we just said, the whole idea of fake. And then what'll happen is people will then buy it and repeat it. We'll put it in movies, we'll put it on television, we'll put it in documentaries, and we'll keep teaching it for years. In fact, we'll have something like, we'll call it the History Channel. Oh, that sounds scientific. And then in that, for years and decades, we will lie to people about this reality, and that they'll then believe that they were created by these aliens, and what they won't realize is that they'll be accepting that they are not divine. Oh, I have an even better idea. Let's conflate it with the Bible, and let's say that Genesis is talking about this as well. We'll say that Moses got the 10 Commandments from aliens, and they'll never get out of it. They'll be so trapped in their self-evaluation. They'll conflate it with their religion, which means they'll be emotionally tied to it, and then they'll defend it. They'll, in fact, get angry if you try and tell them that they're gods and that they have the power to control their own life. They'll get so angry because they'll think they're blaspheming against God, who, according to them, hated them so much, wanted to throw them in hell, and then spliced their DNA with aliens to turn them into slaves. Oh my God, this is perfect. Zechariah Sitchin? Yeah, let's get that guy. Let's get him to pretend to do this. It was a psyop. The whole thing. All human beliefs are based on 3D observations or lies. It is impossible to use human 3D logic to perceive 5D or above. How do I know that? Because until I was given the ability to go outside of the third dimension, I could never have even begun to comprehend it. Even though I was doing practices that created higher dimensional portals and gave me a lot of power, I didn't really understand where it came from or what it was. Now I do. I still have to make some videos about that. So that's how I can say this. I can say that it's impossible to use human 3D logic to perceive 5D or above. I came to the correct base assumption, which was that a just universe means that you are divine, you have control over your reality, and the universe must give you all of your resources. But that's just a base assumption that you have to start from. The reality that when I go into the astral realm, what I experience is something altogether different. You know, my experience when I'm out there is, you know, it's more amazing and more intense than anything in any fantasy or science fiction rolled into one. And that is what's waiting for all humans. That's how I know that every single human being is the most powerful being in existence, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have been able. Number one, you wouldn't have had the strength to become human. So it is completely opposite. Again, we are in an upside down, bizarro world where people can believe that they're forced to be here, that they're forced to incarnate. It's the exact opposite. It's impossible for light beings to incarnate on planet Earth unless they have the strength to pull it off. You want to know what happens with many, if not most, stillborns? The soul doesn't have the ability to follow through. It doesn't have the strength. It tries to incarnate, and it has to lower its frequency to this very low, very oppressive frequency in the third dimension. And the soul says, I can't do it. And it rejects. It says, I'm out. It gives up. That's why. So if you are born, you survive, and you're able to live your life, even if you're a drug addict on the street, if you survived the incarnation process and were able to then become, an actual human, you are among the strongest beings in the entire multiverse. So just to believe that there are beings out there more powerful than you that can force you to incarnate is blasphemy. You're blaspheming against your own divinity. So is it tough here? Yeah, it's really, really tough. People get mad at me when I say this, and they go, why would I choose to come here? And I'm like, I don't know. You're the one that chose to come here. Or they go, what about those people that are born in these horrible conditions? Are you telling me that they chose that? Why would they choose that? I don't know. I'm not them. Ask them. But you're mad at me because I'm telling you that you have the power to change your reality. So what you're really mad about is you don't want to stop being miserable. Because being miserable means that you don't have to be responsible and you don't have to change. You can blame everybody else. It's much easier. Living the path of Odin, dying to your ego, and then screaming in horror and pain as you take in the runes, the truth, the secret of reality. That is not easy. That is not a pleasant experience. Ultimately, it is when you accept and expand into it, you become king of the gods. And it is all up to you accepting that and expanding into it. You know, this is where I like to go. I like to go into that. That's fun for me. But when I'm out there, the beings say, you're more than that. You know, and they show me pictures of, you know, big giant quasars. And they say, that's who you are. Well, I like being an enormous dragon flying around, you know, breathing, you know, life force into everything. I'm enjoying that. But if I'm willing to expand beyond that, I can be more than that. It's all up to what you're willing to expand into. It's impossible to use your 3D human logic to perceive 5D or above. Until now, no humans have been able to perceive 5D and live. Until now, until just a few years ago, if you wanted to go to be able to experience this aspect of yourself, if that happens to be the way you want to experience yourself, some people are, you know, have their own experience. You know, some people want to be that. Whatever your experience is you want to be. Until a few years ago, the only way you could do that is if you died. Some people who have had near-death experiences have come back and talked about it. The majority of people who have near-death experiences, when they physically die, they leave, they go to a heaven, a place, a beautiful kind of, you know, paradise. And they're met by some being or beings or, you know, Buddha or Jesus or their parents or their grandparents or a council of beings or light beings or angels or something like that. And then what will happen is they will go through, you know, the review of their physical human life. Then when they're done with that, they will be given a choice. They will see behind the angel or the being that there's like a portal to another dimension, and they can hear and feel the beautiful, you know, what it is, and they want to go there. And the being will say, if you go through that portal, you can't go back. So you have to choose. You either got to go back or go through the portal, one or the other. And that's because on the other side of that portal, they will find out that they are this. That they are something far, far, far beyond anything they could have imagined. And it will make it impossible for them to function as a human. You will not be able to merge back into 3D and do the normal 3D stuff once you have gone to that level. But all of you, if you're listening to me, you are that already in higher dimensions. But you have come into the third dimensional frequency when you've forgotten all of that. But now is the first time that you can do that and come back. But it makes it very challenging to live in the third dimension. And so there's only, you know, that was, you know, done out of kindness. But the reason why we're able to do it and come back now is because we are shifting. We're going to another frequency where you can be that and come back and forth. You want to be a human and then fly off and become, a quasar or something like that, you can do that, and you'll be able to function at that frequency. In the third dimensional frequency, it's impossible to do that. Usually, people get to that point and they can't come back. So until now, no humans have been able to perceive 5D and live. Understand the true nature of conscious universe is too frightening. 3D human mind will vehemently reject any 5D information. I learned that, I talked about it on the members only video, but I learned that in 2001 when I experienced Sasquatch. And I won't get into it, but that being tried to communicate with me, and each time it did, my mind would shut down and would tell me that this wasn't happening. And 3 times, the being would communicate to me and my mind would flip out and deny that it was happening. Did it a second time, my mind shut down and my mind told me, I'm going to delete that, you won't remember that. And then the third time, my mind broke and it gave up. And I said to the Sasquatch, I said, I can't do this. Thanks for coming, because I had meditated. I wanted to meet one of these beings. And I said, and the being showed up, and I said, thanks for coming, but I can't do this. Please leave. And the being left. And I'd never understood what that was about until now. Now that I've, you're dealing with beings like that, you got, it's a whole other reality. I mean, it is a whole other reality. But now I know what the Sasquatch was teaching me was that your human 3D mind is continuously able to experience and perceive other levels of reality, but it's constantly deleting that so that you don't experience it, you don't remember it. So the 3D human mind will vehemently reject any 5D information. 3D dark force psychopaths manipulate 3D fears to control your belief. I already went through that whole thing I just made up about, the whole Anunnaki nonsense that people continue to unknowingly spout mistranslated mythology. And why they're so attached to believing it is because the fear inherent in it. And the 3D psychopaths will continue to keep feeding you that. They will give you half-truths. They will conflate the truths, and as long as you buy into the fear, it won't matter if half of what you believe is true. As long as the other half is false and tells you you're a worthless piece of crap that was designed only to be a slave, as long as you buy into that and you self-righteously believe that, and you've been, you've even told that the Bible tells you that, then you're now really attached to it emotionally. Somebody like me comes along and says there's no such thing as Anunnakis. The Anunnakis were just simply the gods of the Sumerians. You've been lied to about them being astronauts. You're going to get mad at me, even though I'm telling you that you're more powerful than any Anunnaki. Even though I give you that power, you will deny that in favor of accepting the idea of being a slave that was created in a lab. You would much rather be a slave and self-righteously believe in the History Channel Anunnaki ancient alien bullshit because it makes you feel safe. But if you listen to me and you understand that there is no fucking Anunnaki in the world that could even come close to messing with you when you're in your true essence. If you accept that, that'll break your brain in so many possible, especially when you experience it. It's one thing for me to tell you and you to think about it intellectually. It's another thing to go out there and become that and then come back into your body. You won't be able to function very well here. And that's good. I've come to accept that. It's good. I'm not part of this 3D anymore. I am committed to going into the next dimension. I don't know how or when. I just know that I'm going to merge with that. And that is my goal. And my goal is to not be part of the third dimensional nonsense, not be part of this 3D Earth society anymore, but to create a new one. That is my goal. To be comfortable to live in this spiritual revolution. This revolution has nothing to do with politics or anything else in the physical realm. It is purely an inside job. It is purely on a frequency level. I'm committed to that, and I'm here to help anybody who also wants to do that. So accepting your true 5D conscious universe will destroy third dimensional society. This is why it's so dangerous. This is why almost nobody is aware of it. Look at my channel. Look at my channel and then look at other channels. Channels that just spout nonsense and fear. I mean, you know, if I want to have a super empath Anunnaki, you know, channel where, you know, Moses got the 10 commandments from aliens. If I wanted to create a channel like that and I could stomach that and be able to look myself in the mirror, I'd be very successful. But I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you a truth that goes beyond any of that. A truth that the human mind cannot tolerate. And it is not something that's easily digested, and that's why I give you the tools to experience it. I want you to experience it. I don't want you to take my word for anything. I don't want you to believe anything I say just because I said it. I want you to act on the techniques I give you, and I want you to experience it yourself. That's true revolution. And by the way, that's a true teacher. A true teacher isn't somebody that says something and you believe it because it's written down and he said it. A true teacher says, this is what I did, here, now you go do it. A true teacher wants you to go beyond him or her. I want you to experience what I'm teaching to such a level where you come back and many of my students are doing that. They go beyond and they explain to me things I couldn't have understood. They take the tools that I give and then they expand on them and use them and that's true teaching. So living in 5D truth will effectively isolate you from the world. This is the most painful part of this. Until 5D gets here, it's very likely it's going to make you feel alone. And this is why it's really important that we create a community and create a consensus, which is what the live group Zoom class, that's what this is about. More people come and talk about their experiences. We meet twice a month, and you know, I'm not really there to teach. I'm there to just sort of to listen to you as well as share my experiences. Because when you hear other people who've done the meditations and experienced these states of mind and experienced things in higher dimensions, and when they come back and talk to other people, then it becomes real. When you're left by yourself, again, your 3D brain is going to talk you out of it. And then you start to feel like you're losing your mind. You start to feel isolated. Because the pull to go back and be part of 3D society is very strong. It's our survival instinct. All right, so that's it for me today, guys. I appreciate you coming once again. 3D universe is a self-contained, upside-down false matrix. All human beliefs are based on 3D observations or lies. It's impossible to use a 3D human logic to perceive 5D or above. Until now, no humans have been able to perceive 5D and live. Understanding true nature of conscious universe is too frightening for the average third-dimensional mind. 3D human mind will vehemently reject any 5D information. The 3D dark force psychopaths manipulate your 3D fears to control your beliefs. Accepting true 5D conscious universe will destroy third-dimensional society. Living in 5D truth will effectively isolate you from this 3D world. So meditate on those concepts, and while you're doing that, do the practices that I give you. Subscribe to the 90-day challenge at thunderwizard.com, and or go to the shop and do practices, do something every day. And of course, show up twice a week for the live guided interdimensional meditations. And Yep, if you want to do the group Zoom class, by all means, you're welcome. That's it. If you're having experiences in the live guided meditations, leave comments in the videos telling us your experiences. It helps us all when you do that. All right, that's it, my friends. I love you very much. Please remember that you are the most powerful being that has ever existed. You are the most beautiful being that has ever existed. The entire universe was created solely for your pleasure. When you spend all of your time and energy fulfilling the desires of your soul, all conscious beings evolve, and the gods themselves get on their knees and bow before you, as I do. Thank you for creating me. Thank you for creating this universe and allowing me to live in it. Until next time, my friends, please be very good to yourselves.